Mariners lose 2-1. They fall to 4-8 on the season, and the series against the Astros is even at a game apiece. Not going to do the scoring plays for this one. There's not very many, but just I may not do the scoring plays all year. You guys let me know if you want the scoring plays at the beginning of this video. Please comment, please hit like, please subscribe. And I'll just let you know this video is going to be a little bit different than other videos, and yet similar to some that I've done. I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to 1997. I am 14 years old. I am a fat 14-year-old, but life isn't too bad. I have a pretty close group of friends. My parents fight a lot, but they don't really take it out on me and my sister. You know, they get divorced about 5 years later when things escalate, which is, you know, how marriages work often, unfortunately. But it's not a bad life. I am starting to get into hip hop a lot more, a lot of, you know, unfortunately, new metal hip hop or whatever the heck that's called now. It's just starting. The Beastie Boys, who are not new metal, they're just flat hip hop, are a huge part of my life. But the biggest part of my life, and it's not even close, is the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners are everything to me. Now, the Supersonics are also a huge part of my life. The Washington Huskies are a big part of my life. But one with the bullet was the Seattle Mariners. With all due respect to Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Detlef Schrempf, Vincent Askew, all those guys, and Brock Heward and Benji Olsen and those guys for the Huskies, the Mariners were my number one thing. I cared about the Mariners more than pretty much anything. Now, you'll say, Chris, you've probably always cared that much about the Mariners, but it was different from 1993 to 2002. In 2003 to 2010, I'm still a big fan, huge fan, but I'm, you know, starting to lose a little bit of interest in the team, starting to gain more interest in other stuff. And then in 2010, I get my first baseball writing job, and I get kind of pushed by some folks to suggest, maybe don't be such a diehard fan of one team because it allows for other opportunities. And I'll be honest, it did. I'm still rooting for them, mainly for my grandma, but I was not nearly as big a fan, not even close. And even still, as much as I love this baseball team, nothing will compare to my love of the 1993 to 2002 Seattle Mariners. 2003, I guess, can be included in there as well. I'm a huge fan of it. And sure, some of that has to do with it being a formative sport for me. Some of that has to do with the fact that I didn't have a whole heck of a lot else going on. But I really, really loved the Seattle Mariners. And in particular, people talk about 1995, and it's a huge moment. Huge. People talk about 2000 and 2001, the most successful Seattle Mariner teams. They both advanced to the ALCS, and of course, we know what happened in 2021. And 2022 was pretty cool, too. They don't make the postseason, but they win 93 games, do the same thing in 2003. But 1997 was a special year for me because I got to watch the Seattle Mariners hit and pitch a little bit too, starting pitching. Very, very, very clearly starting pitching. I loved watching the Seattle Mariners hit. And I should have pulled this up before, but I'm going to pull it up now. I'm going to go over the OPS, and I know OPS isn't a perfect stat by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just going to give you we'll give you the triple slashes of the starting Mariners in 1997, okay? Okay, your Seattle Mariners, managed by Lou Piniella, this is your starting lineup. You've got Dan Wilson, who hit 270, 328, 423. You have Paul Sereno, who hit 269, 345, 514. You have Joey Cora, who hit 300, 359, 441. You have Alex Rodriguez, who hit 300, 350, 496, Russ Davis, the much maligned Russ Davis, hit 271, 317, 488. Jose Cruz, before the trade, 268, 315, 541. Kenneth Griffey Jr., George Kenneth Griffey Jr., 304, 382, 646. Jay Buhner, 243, 383, 506. Edgar Martinez, 330, 456, 654. Off the bench, you had Mike Blowers hit 293, 376, 427. You had a trade for Roberto Kelly, and of course, it makes me scroll down to get him. Came over to Seattle and hit 298, 328, 529. There are a few other guys. Andy Sheets was a 715 OPS guy who I'm sorry. We'll ignore that I brought him up. This team could really hit. This team, here's the homer totals for the starters: 15, 31, 11, 23, 20, 12 in only 49 games for Jose Cruz Jr., 56, 40, and 28. So why am I talking about the 1997 Seattle Mariners? Because I hate people who rely on nostalgia for stuff. But I watch this team hit, and then I remember how good I had it as a kid, and I get sad. I get sad that this is what I have to watch. I get sad that for the last year and 12 games, with 2 minor exceptions this year, and some exceptions last year, obviously, I've had to watch dreadful hitting over and over and over and over again. And it sucks. And I feel so bad for those of you who were born after 1995. And really, if you were born in no, I'll go 95 as that cutoff point. Because all you've seen is mediocrity. You can't remember the 97 Mariners, the 2000 Mariners, the 2001 Mariners. And, I brought up the 1997 Mariners on Blue Sky, and some people said, well, you couldn't have loved that team. They were the worst bullpen and blah, 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 and they can lose in the ALDS. And you're not wrong. They were a frustrating team, but they were at least fun. I have fun recording these videos because of the catharsis that comes with it. And also, occasionally I think of a witty joke. Occasionally I think of a good headline. Some stuff goes right. But is it fun to watch this baseball team? Absolutely not. And it sucks for me and for people who grew up watching a Mariner team that, look, it's weird to be nostalgic about a team that's never even been to the World Series. But to watch this when we have seen what it can look like in a much different stadium, sure. In a much different time for baseball, sure. But it's so hard to watch this absolute inept crap shack of an offense, in part because I've seen it when it has been so good. And you're not going to learn anything from this video other than if you weren't, unless you didn't know anything about the 1997 Mariners, you didn't learn a gosh damn thing. But I had to get it out there. I'm so tired. 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position today. 1 for 19. And they were a decent play from Christian Walker from going 0 for 19 and getting shut out. And man, I talked about it last night that Logan Gilbert should be able to kick every one of those players. Luis Castillo, you should be able to do the same thing. Now, he only went 5 innings, but Just it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to watch just inept offense night after night after night, and now season after season. And you can tell me all you want about how much baseball there is left. That to me is more of a threat. I I just want him to win. And there's nothing I've seen over this first dozen games that says they're good enough to win. And you know what I mean by win. I'm not talking about winning 85 games. So I'm done with that. You should be done with that too. I think you are. The only thing I'm going to add, and I'm sorry to pick on you, Dom. Welcome back to the majors. You can't play a worse offensive game than Dom Kinzone played in only 2 at bats. They were pathetic. Pathetic. And if they have to rely on him offensively, especially now that Victor Robles is out for the year, you have to go get an outfielder. Post haste. An interesting would you rather game would be, would you rather have an offense like the 1997 Mariners and lose 90 games, 72 and 90? Or would you rather go 85 and 77 again and watch this team hit? It's an easy answer for me. Because if you're not going to win it all, at least make it entertaining. This is not entertaining. The only positive I want to mention from this game is, other than Luis Castillo pitching well, the bullpen was okay. The play by Ryan Bliss at second base to save that run is one of probably the best play I've ever seen that didn't result in an out. I would do unspeakable things to have Russ Davis on the Seattle Mariners. I don't know why this loss hit me so hard. Maybe it's because, again, they played a pretty darn good game last night, and then over and over this has happened. And now you need to win tomorrow to win a series, and you have Luis F. Castillo on the mound. Maybe it'll go great. Maybe. You betting on it? Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Link in the description for Simply Seattle. I wish it was 1997.